Or maybe you went to somebody's house, because I know nobody in here would do this, but Pastor, you went to somebody's house and went to use the restroom, and you got there to wash your hands and noticed that the soap had been diluted. Maybe I'm just the only one that's went to the kitchen and fixed my favorite bowl of cereal and went in the refrigerator, and my grandma say it was just a little swallow of milk left. But what did I do? I just added a little bit of water and I shake it up. The truth is, sometimes when things run low and when things run out, water has the ability to make things stretch. And here in our text today, Jesus highlights for us that sometimes when things run low and when things run out, all it takes is just a little bit of water. And I've heard this text, church, preached from so many different perspectives. I've heard preachers talk about Mary and how Jesus referred to her as woman. I've heard preachers talk about the servants and the heavy load that they had trying to carry those big old pots. I've even heard people talk about the servant and the steward of the feast and how he was responsible of making sure that they had wine. But today, I don't want to talk about any of them. I simply want to talk about the water, because I believe that Jesus had a strategic plan and purpose behind what substance he used to produce this miracle. Water in this text has become the solution to a problem. It has been placed in a pot and pushed beyond its potential. And the reality is, water in this text is an imagery of Jesus himself. Water displays that it is willing to become and it is willing to form and be whatever it is God needs it to be in order for God to get the glory. And the potential of the water is determined by the way that it is used. Watch this. The blessing is that Jesus saw potential in the water that caused it to produce. That should be the testimony of some people here today that say, I just simply want to be a willing vessel. I simply want to be used by God. Lord, allow me to be some water in some situations. God, allow me to be whatever it is you need me to be to produce in the lives of your people. God, if you want me to sing, I'll sing. If you want me to preach, I'll preach. If you want me to dance, I'll dance. God, whatever it is you want me to do, I'm willing to conform to whatever it is you need me to be in order for you to get the glory. If I allow myself to be used by God, even when my potential isn't seen, God still has a way of transforming water into wine. And the good news is, when you allow yourself to be used by God, despite how things may look, he will always make your purpose known. So that even when others don't see your potential and others don't see your value, God will bring out the best in you and allow people to see his power through you. And this text that we have approached today is known to highlight the very first miracle of Jesus. And the very first thing that Jesus does in the inception of his ministry is take something that seems to have no value, seems to have no potential, seems to have no purpose in the present moment, and he gives it value and worth in the eyes of people that does not see its potential. Let me pause parenthetically here and say that God has a way of using you in situations that people may think you have no value in. But when God has his hand on you, there's a side of you that God can reveal that people didn't know you had. And I wonder if I could preach to some people in here today. People have wrote you off. People have said that you were not worth it. People have said that you did not have the ability. But I came to let some young people know today, and I came to let some older people know today, that God has the ability and the authority to change the very trajectory of your life by doing some simple things. God has a way of letting you look like water but taste like wine. And I don't know who I'm talking to in here this morning. You may say, I look like water, but let me assure you, I taste like wine. I may not drive what you drive, but my car's paid off. I may not live where you live, but I got a roof over my head. I may not wear the latest and the greatest, but I got clothes on my back and I got shoes on my feet. I may look like water, but you better know I taste like wine. God has the ability to transform me and to mold me and to make me to be what he's calling me to be in this season. And the truth of the matter is, God will let things go wrong to show you and to show the people around you that he has potential beyond your problem. So Jesus finds himself at this wedding with his mother and his two newly converted disciples. And his mother Mary brings him the issue of the people. That they have ran out of wine. She tells Jesus they have run out of wine. And the text says that he responds to her and says, what have I to do with thee? This Greek translation simply means, what does this have to do with me? This response from Jesus, Pastor, seems rather abrasive towards his mother. Some scholars suggest that what Jesus is saying is that it is pointless for me to hasten to my death over a matter such as this. Because what Jesus knew was revealing his power so soon could lead him to the cross even faster. Which raises a question for us as critical thinkers. How do you handle life when answering your call causes conflict? How do you handle life when doing what it is God has called you to do causes some issues? How do you handle life when doing what God has put it before you and answering your call causes some conflict? Jesus knew that if they witnessed his power so soon, it would speed up his transition to the cross. And what Jesus is really suggesting to us is it's not always about who hears you answer the call, but it's sometimes about who experiences you answering the call. In other words, we've got a whole lot of people in this world that are answering the call with their mouth, but nobody has started to answer the call with their actions. Yeah, nobody wants to do the work because the work takes time and the work takes discipline and the work takes conviction and the work takes sacrifice. Jesus says, my time has not yet come. But watch this. In spite of Jesus' response, like most mothers do, Mary ignores him and tells the servants to listen up because she knew that Jesus had the power to produce even though he didn't want to. That's a word for someone in here today, that sometimes you need somebody in your corner that sees your potential even when you don't. Yeah, you need some people that's going to push you and make you go even when you don't see your own self-worth, even when you don't see your own value, even when you don't see your own potential. You need somebody to push you and make you practice what you preach. You need somebody to push you to make you keep going when you feel like giving up. You need somebody to push you and tell you you can make straight A's when you keep on getting B's. You need somebody to push you and tell you you can go to the best college you want to go to even when you feel like you should just settle for less. You need someone to push you to tell you you need to start that business. You need somebody to push you to tell you you need to stretch out on faith and believe in God. God says, I see potential beyond your problem. And Mary says, even though you may not be ready, I know there's something great on the inside of you. Just don't touch nobody. It's COVID, but just look at somebody up and down your row and say, it's greatness on the inside of you. There's greatness on the inside of you. You don't need people in your corner that'll make you back down, that'll tell you, no, you shouldn't do that. No, you're not capable of that. You need people in your corner that's going to push you into purpose. So the text tells us that after the request from Mary, Jesus tells the servant to fill the 6 water pots that were sitting around. He says, fill them up. The text says that those pots were Those pots were used for Jewish ritual, meaning that these pots were used, watch this, church, to wash the hands of the people before and after the feast. So in essence, Jesus tells them, take some pots that are potentially dirty, and they could have leftover water from people washing their hands. He says, fill them up with water and we're going to drink from them. Now, as problematic as this sounds, Jesus highlights for us that he will take things that you have just sitting around and use them to produce a miracle in your life. Yeah, it may be dirty. It may be preoccupied. It may even have been intended for something else. But when God sees potential, you better get ready to watch it produce. And that's my word for somebody in here today. What you need to produce, God has already put it in your area. What you need to bring forth, what you need to manifest your destiny, God has already put it around you. Truth is, Jesus used the pots because it makes it impossible for him to deceive the people. Because by using pots that they knew were meant for something else, it had to be a miracle done by him. So not only does the people see a miracle